Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another empowering episode of the Life Doula Podcast. I'm your host, Charity Marohombsar, and today we have truly inspiring episode lined up for you, and that's all about finding beauty and strength in the cancer journey. Today's episode is titled Beauty in the Battle, Building Body Confidence in Cancer Recovery, and I am absolutely thrilled to introduce our special guest, the wonderful body confidence coach, Sofia. Sophia is not just any coach, she has dedicated her life's work to helping individuals reclaim their self love and body confidence, especially during and after challenging experiences in life like cancer. Her compassion, wisdom, and actionable tips are exactly what we need to hear today. So get comfortable, maybe grab your favorite drink, and get ready to be inspired and be uplifted. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sofia. Do you notice I don't introduce her with the last name? We're excited to dive into this beautiful conversation with you.
I'm excited too, and I can't help but call you mom.
Oops.
It's not a giveaway already with how we look. She's my mom.
Sophia, for the sake of our audience who maybe are meeting you for the first time today, can you share with our audience how you got into the cancer community space?
Well, I got into the cancer community space simply because of my mother. She is a cancer survivor and a cancer coach. But I'd like to, when I was preparing for this question, my memory took me back to when I was a kid. And I believe that you and dad always exposed us to several advocacies that would help other people in need. So I think at an early age, you already helped us, my brothers and I, develop that compassion for other people and their struggles. So it wasn't a hard transition to enter the cancer community. And I've been your love giver since day one, and you have fearlessly introduced me and put me in circles of so many strong men and women who have dealt with cancer, both living and gone. I was only 16 when I met, apart from her, I met the first cancer patient, uh, Tita Rose. She was the first cancer patient I met. And so it wasn't a hard transition at all. I think I've always been in the cancer community as a love giver and as a witness to how strong you guys are.
I tried to make sure that I will not tear up when she was answering that question. Sophia, can you tell us a bit more about your own journey and what inspired you to become a body confidence coach? But before you answer that, I just want to give a little bit of background to our audience that Sophia belongs to a generation, unlike mine, who has been conditioned to get an 8 to 5 type of job. So even before she graduated from college, she already spoke to me and said that she wouldn't want to go into the typical 8 to 5 type of work.
Yes.
So I guess that's enough premise and background for you to answer our question.
So I am a life coach and I'm also a creative. How I got into being a body confidence coach was born out of, I guess I've always lived with a label that I was big, that I was boyish, that I was dark, and then my hair would always be made fun of for being curly and messy. So I've always carried those labels with me, and then it got to a point where you don't process what you think you are. It will always be delivered, or it will always seep through you with a point of pain. And I guess I got tired of that, thankfully, at a much earlier age. And I went from pain to empowerment. I didn't realize how strong and good of a person I was simply because of all these labels around me. But then it took one pivotal moment recently this
You want to
year.
talk about that?
I can, yeah. I shared on my social media that at one time, one day, I was meeting up with you. I gave a nice lady a ride to the gate of our village, and then she complimented me and all that. She said her thanks, but then she had to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Pero mataba ka. Pero malaki. I was like, oh, what do I do? But then I think another premise is you've exposed me to processing my thoughts, doing the inner work, and to work with coaches early on since I was in college. So I guess at that moment in time, all of that groundwork helped me react better and respond better. And then I realized that I will never be enough for anybody and everybody. And that is, I can't curse, no? That is enough. That is really enough. And I just realized at that point that there are so many people who don't know that they are enough. I live in a generation where, yes, we do want our own freedom, but we are still chained by all of these beliefs that I have to look a certain way. My arms need to be smaller and all that. And it's okay. It's okay to want changes in your body. But if you're coming from a place of pain and shame and you're running away from something rather than towards love or rather towards self-acceptance and confidence, then I think we're doing it for the wrong reasons. And so that is my advocacy. That's how I got into this space because I do want people to have that self acceptance for themselves and live comfortably because we don't know when life calls us in and say, let's call it a day. We want to make sure that when that time comes, we've made sure that we try to live our lives in our own terms. And I think that's what you've done since your diagnosis. You've been trying to live your life in your own terms. And I'm trying to advocate for that as well.
So you have been exposed to the people in the community and you have seen how people lost mobility or how they've lost parts of their body, whether seen or unseen, and you have seen with your own two eyes how it has affected their image, their confidence, both during treatment and after treatment. How do you think the whole cancer journey affects them?
I think it all boils down to one word, and that is all because of change and our unfamiliarity with change, actually. And it makes it so hard, harder than it already is. You know, because if we lay down the facts, there are really so much changes when one goes through their cancer journey. Their skin becomes different because of medication, their energy becomes different, it's lower, you're more fatigued. And of course, you're at risk for so many things. So you feel so limited in your movement, in what you expose yourself to. So it's a great change. And I think that alone, and then add to that layer how people perceive people with illness and how they're seen to be as so fragile and so sensitive. Even the way people treat you is different. And so I think that deeply affects self-esteem because even during your treatment palang, you're already like this very fragile vase or teapot or some sort. And you just lose that sense of identity, who you once were. And I think in this culture, we go through life not knowing who we really are, and then we're made to deal with this big change. So it's multitudes of difficulties that I think would affect somebody's self-esteem because one, you're again, just to circle it back, you're seen as somebody so fragile, you're already seen as somebody so broken, and then you're gonna deal with your scars. The effect of the medication is heavily in your body. So the, it's an onion. It's an onion with many layers in it, and well, it's part of it. It's part of the journey.
And we have seen it that really unless you talk to someone about it, it's not part of your medical consult. Like, You don't walk in any clinic and say, my self-esteem is really down the dumps because I look different and I can't wear the usual clothes I was wearing. So I think that overall affects and gets them into that space of shame and losing their confidence, right? And I know that on top of holding space for cancer warriors and survivors, you do hold space for other people, men and women alike. As a matter of fact, for your upcoming class, you have participants who are males.
Yes.
Could you give us some practical strategies, something that you can recommend to our audience who are struggling with body confidence because of the changes that their bodies went through while undergoing treatment and even after? So, some practical strategies or tips to help them be able to appreciate their body despite the changes, as you said.
Number one, I have to really put this up there. Number one, you have to listen to your body. First and foremost, it won't work if you try to go back to normal. Because I think you of all people would know that going back to normal is a very distant place in time already. So you have to listen to your body where it is now, whether if it's post-treatment or before, maybe you're having anxiety, you have to absolutely listen to your body. Meaning you give it what it needs. If your body's calling for you to lay down, to get up, to get some sunlight, do it. Another is you have to distance yourself actually from your mind and from your body. And one way of doing that is through simple stuff like walking or maybe some low energy demanding activities, like if your hobby before was arranging flowers. I remember you got into that, or you also got into making bracelets, something crafty that won't require for you to remember that, oh, I'm sick, I'm not well, I'm labeled as this. You have to create that certain gap from yourself and just be with yourself. And another is, I would always recommend movement to anybody. I know that cancer patients do struggle with certain physical activities. So, circling back to the first one, is you have to listen to yourself and find what works for you. So, those are just three practical tips on just how to gain that better feeling overall.
And if I may, it's also taking stock of what's given.
Yes.
What's given is, like, I can only speak for myself. Number one, I did not opt for any reconstruction. I mean, what for? Right? I mean, it's different for different people. And that was my decision. So that's a given. And I had to work around that, like choosing the right clothes for myself. However, I still find clothes that are probably suited for full breasted women, but I really don't care, right? So it's taking stock of what's there and embracing what's there, because you and I have been talking about it. Nobody's going to do it for you. If you cannot love yourself, who will? Right?
Nothing will ever be enough if you don't accept yourself.
True. Sophia is, I have so many mirrors at home, but she's my interactive mirror. If I don't feel so confident about wearing something, she would be the first to encourage me to say, Mom, you can pull it off. You can do it.
Yes, you can.
Sophia, how can love givers or caregivers support their loved ones when they see that they are struggling with body confidence issues related to their cancer journey?
I actually love this one because I went through it myself. Because I was only 16 when you were diagnosed, and I was 17 or 18 when you were in full remission. Is that the correct term?
When I was
You're
cleared of.
cleared, yes. You're already cleared, but I thought we've already gone over the hill, but I didn't realize that there will still be some bumps in the road. And I've had firsthand experience of you telling me, I don't know what I need. I don't know what I want for myself. And there, I think, is where I realized or I learned that to be a love giver, sometimes you just really have to listen. You have to validate rather than, hindi, maganda ka. Hindi, you look great. Hindi, blooming ka. It's not gonna work if the person you are loving doesn't see it for themselves. That's another that's another work to do. But as a love giver alone, you have to be there to listen and to just be there. Be as hard as that is, because we're so used to giving our opinions.
Yeah.
We're so used to trying to bandage people and fix them, which is that's just fine because that's our way of loving. But sometimes that silence or just letting them pour their emotions is already a big relief. It's a gift that you taught me or I learned from you that I was able to apply to the other people that I love, because self-esteem issues will always be part of society, I think, so long as we have beliefs. But yes, you have to listen. But you can also be that voice after the fact. You've listened, they've taken their time, they've taken their deep breaths. You can also be that voice that will ground them in reality. You can be that person too. But you have to be mindful of what you say, because still, it's already a big struggle what cancer patients are going through. So just hold space, time your words, say your words correctly, Try not to be in that energy of, I have to fix, I have to fix, I have to fix. Because that will just send you off saying the wrong messages all over, and it wouldn't really.
True, true. And I remember a very distinct story where I was so impatient waiting for my hair to grow. And if you are a breast cancer survivor, you lose hair everywhere, almost in every part of your body. Hair, eyebrows, eyelashes. And I remember we were lying down one weekend. We did a selfie with, I think, one of our house dogs. And when it came out, I said, gosh, I look like a Martian because I was bald. I didn't have eyebrows. I didn't have eyelashes. And she just looked at me and we laughed. I think laughing about, humor can also be one of the things that love givers can do. For as long as you do not laugh first. So I laughed at myself when I realized I literally looked like a Martian,
I think
right?
I think it's also important that we're not quick to respond. Kasi sometimes, the way we Filipinos deliver words, minsan sorry, I'm switching languages, but sometimes we really say things aggressively, but we don't really mean to be aggressive.
Yeah.
We're just loud, especially in our household. So, I think the initial response will always be the love giver is rattled. Now, how do I respond to that? Do I just deflect and say, no, that's not true? But thankfully, we were gifted with that pause. There is power in pausing, everybody. This is not just for love givers. There is power in pausing, taking a step, just a microsecond, and just weigh it out. Be comfortable. Because sometimes the way we react, people just go along with it. If we react na parang, no, I knew you were gonna be uncomfortable even more, or we're just gonna butt heads and disagree. So it was important that laughter was part of that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Cancer treatments can leave lasting physical changes. I mean, you witness this every day. Mobility, despite exercise and movement, there will always be limitations, long term effects of either surgery or treatment. How do you help your clients embrace and accept these changes?
Well, overall, as you taught me, is I hold space. But I love that you mentioned scars because scars, in reality, they're just skin deep. You know, of course, surgery takes layers and layers, but the healing of it is skin deep. And so I go deeper beyond that scar. Because normally, with or without scars, we will always have our fears and our insecurities. So one thing that I do is check the beliefs, the belief system around imperfections, the feeling of worth, enoughness. What does attractive look like for you? What does empowered look like for you? Because I believe that it's not just about the scar. It's about how we perceive ourselves, how we fear what society tells us what should be, and what we fear when we deviate from that, even if it's against our own will, because nobody asks for cancer. Nobody asks for a scar. Yet here we are given that challenge, we overcome it, we're left with a scar, but instead of looking at our wounds as a battle wound, which I have as well on my tummy, we tend to look at it as a point of imperfection, a point of insecurity. That's why I tell you, just show it. Because you have beautiful hair already, your skin has recovered. If you want to show that you're a warrior, you gotta flaunt that scar.
I wish I can. That would mean bearing half of my breast. Sophia, how does self-talk play in body confidence? And how can one develop a more positive internal dialogue?
It's about 50% of the work, or it's a great chunk of the work to achieve body confidence. Because self talk is what rules our perception, it's what changes the lens in our eyes and how we view ourselves. So self talk is huge. And more often than not, we don't know if our self talk is helpful or not because we're so used to those thoughts. For the longest time, my self talk was, you're too big, you're too tall, just play it small. I never liked being seen, right? You guys would tell me I was shy as shy as another kid could be. And I think that was a big confidence issue. And it was definitely learned from my different surroundings. Being teased in school was a big factor. And so our negative self-talk is valid. I'm not here to tell you that just get rid of it, shift your language. No. You have to tend to why that voice in your head is so negative and see if it's true. That's the important part. Because sometimes most times, we just listen, but we never really challenge our thoughts. And circling back to what I just said, it's what determines our perception. It's not just of ourselves, but how we see the world. If the voice in our head is saying, you're ugly, you're too big, the next person you're gonna see is not gonna be saved from that judgment as well. Even if we don't say it, even if we try to treat them with kindness, what's in our mind is, oh, she could lose a few pounds. Oh, wow, ang dami niyang, so many acne. You know?
While we are on the weight, a lot of people do not know that when cancer patients go through chemotherapy, especially for breast cancer, women tend to gain more weight. And it's not easy as just exercise and the pounds will really shed off. It's a struggle, right? So again, going back to what you tell, the stories that you tell yourself is really, really important.
It's so powerful. That's why in self talk, there's a thing they call the 3 C's. So you catch, you try to check if it's valid or not, and a way to check if it's valid or not, if it's serving you right. If it's making you do all of these things to hide yourself, to play it small, to be mad at the world, to blame other people, then that's probably not positive self-talk. And then of course the third C is to change it. And you really can change it.
I love that. Catch, check, and change. And when Sofia spoke to me about her body confidence coaching, one of the things that I really admired of her, not because she's my daughter, is the fact that it's not enough for us to accept the form and shapes of our body, but ask yourself where you want to take it from a health standpoint, right? I mean, we don't just say, I accept my body for being big, but factor in the health. And I think that's where the change will come in. So catch, check, and change. I love that. Something I learned new today. Are there any specific exercises or practices such as mindfulness or body positive affirmations that you find particularly effective in boosting body confidence?
The big principle in body confidence is that your body is the least interesting about you. Interesting thing about you. It's the least interesting thing about you. And so I find affirmations like, I am beyond my body, as very powerful. Like, yes, we are aware that this is our vehicle, but our soul, our humor, the way we think is beyond our body. And I don't think we should limit ourselves to just this physical entity in this world because we are really beyond what we look like, especially in this day and age where we have so many rules on what we should look like. So that affirmation that I am beyond my body is powerful. And in terms of self-talk and what we think, I'd like to shift the focus from what we look to what we can do. And when we're coming from a standpoint of, oh, what can I do? Then that's where the curiosity begins. That's when you hopefully allow yourself to play around and see what you like. You got into multiple hobbies before. You did bracelet making, you did soap making, you did the oils, and I think that just builds your character even more. And you've met amazing people along the way because of it, and it opened a lot of doors for you. And I think that's what it looks like. The what can I do instead of what I look like. And you're more limitless at that point, and you're more open to receiving the love and the attention that you deserve as a human being.
Who are you? We don't talk. I mean, we do talk at home, but not at this depth and level. So thank you for being in my podcast. I learned something from you. Do I have to pay you for being my body confidence coach? Seriously, how important is community and support groups in fostering body confidence during and after cancer care or any type of disease that somehow presents as a challenge in being confident about our bodies?
I think it's as important as self-talk. And this is coming from a person who, as you may know, I like my alone time. I like being by myself. I like achieving things on my own. I think
Actually, she's saying she is
she is
an introvert.
Yes, let's call it an introvert. But then again, being exposed to this community and then going into this advocacy of body confidence, I think it all came at a perfect time here at this community center. And then starting my coaching, I did realize that community is indispensable. I've seen it here in the center happening where, these are all women with their head wraps, with their face masks because they are sensitive to the conditions. But then they're not here to talk about their illness. They're here to laugh together. They even make fun of the names of their medicine and what they eat and what they can't eat. So it's important to surround yourself with people who have an idea of what you're going through or who are ready to understand what you're going through. And that is also applicable in my journey of body confidence because I don't think I could have ever pushed through with the consistency I have now if I didn't sit down with you and the family and say that I'm actually going to do this and I'm going to do this loudly. So you're either with me or please just keep the negative talk to yourselves. So it's really important to set your own terms and to say it loudly, to live loudly so that you attract the people that you are meant to be with. So community is really indispensable in any journey.
While we're at it, can we invite our audience who wants to be part of your body confidence community?
Yes. I'm inviting everyone to join my Everybody Facebook community. I think I can add the link down below so anybody can join because I know we all are in need of that support. And it's important to be surrounding yourself with like-minded people as you try to go on this journey of discovering who you are and loving who you are.
So let's repeat that. The Facebook community is everybody. So, what a witty name for a community. And how can they reach out to you, Sofia?
You can reach out to me via Instagram at Sofia Marohombsar. It's a very difficult name, but we will again add it here. And you can also message me on Facebook for any concerns that you may be needing with your body confidence journey. You are more than welcome to join the community and just reach out.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for this really enriching session with you. In this empowering episode of the Life Doula Podcast, we delve into the topic of body confidence during and after the cancer journey. Our special guest, body confidence coach Sofia, shares her expertise and personal experiences in helping cancer survivors rebuild their self esteem and shed the shame associated with body confidence changes. Sofia discusses practical strategies for embracing one's body after the physical and emotional challenges of cancer treatment. She emphasizes the importance of self compassion, positive affirmations, and finding beauty in resilience. Additionally, she talks about the profound significance of finding meaning in your battle scars and embracing them as symbols of strength and survival. Through inspiring stories and actionable tips, this episode aims to uplift and support those on the path to body love and acceptance post cancer. Join us as we explore the transformative power of reclaiming body confidence, celebrating the unique beauty that emerges from the battle against cancer, and honoring the journey through our scars. As we wrap up this heartfelt episode, we hope you found inspirational and practical advice to support your journey towards body confidence. Remember, every scar and every change has a story of strength and resilience. Embrace them, love yourself, and know that you are beautiful inside and out. Thank you for joining us on the Life Doula Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with others who might benefit from Sofia's incredible insights. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself and keep celebrating your unique beauty every day.